Hello and welcome back to another video. In today's video we will be comparing a 1930 Ford Model A Coupe to a 1998 Ford Ranger. Enjoy. As you can tell, these two automobiles have very different exteriors, so let's start there. With the Model A we have two headlights and two cow lights, which are my turn signals. And over at the Ranger we also have two headlights and two turn signals. But as you can see, the profile of the Model A, the radiator is a lot higher than, say, the Ranger. And you can see that the horn on the Model A is a lot more prominent, and on the Ranger you don't see the horn. And the bumpers, same thing. The Model A's are a lot skinnier and the Rangers are a lot more into the style of the body. So we're going to go over to the sides now. With the Model A, you have these doors and they do not line up like that. And you have a running board. With the Ranger, it has a door like Model A, but a lot more modern, and there's no really running board. And it also has a truck bed, whereas the Model A has a rumble seat because they're a coupe and a pickup. But let's take a look under the hood. The Model A, there's a 4-cylinder gasoline engine. And you can see that it has a distributor rather than electronic ignition. And you can see it is carbureted as well. The Ranger is not carbureted, it is fuel injected. So let's go over here and take a look at the Ranger. Under the hood of the Ranger, there's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, which is electronic ignition, not carbureted. And as you can see, there is some similar components. Like you can see, there's an alternator down there, which I didn't show you on that, but there's an alternator. And there's a battery under here, whereas in the Model A, it's under the seats. And there's also the radiator, which is here instead of completely exposed like the Ford Model A. And the Model A does not have a fuel pump. It has a gravity-fed fuel line directly to the carburetor, so it's a lot different, and you can see that the radiator itself is very different compared to a Model A. Another difference from the Model A is the location of the gas tank. On a Ford Model A, the location is right above the passenger's lap, and this is how you access it, right in here. Whereas on the Ford Ranger, it is under the bed, and the gas cap is located right there. And you can kind of see that the gas cap or the gas tank is right under there. Now for the back of the Ranger, it has a normal tailgate and a large cargo space, whereas the Model A has a luggage rack, and instead of a trunk, it has a rumble seat, so you can get 2 more passengers. The Model A will seat 4 people, and the Ranger will seat 2 people and maybe a small child. Now let's take a look at the interior. We'll start with the Ranger. In front of us, we have a steering wheel and 5 gauges. We have a speedometer, a fuel gauge, a coolant temperature, oil pressure, and battery voltage, as well as our odometer, tripometer, and various warning lights and other signals. On the steering wheel, we also have this stalk, which acts as a turn signal. It activates the wipers, and it also turns on the high beams. And over here we have our light controls and dimmer switch. In the center we have our radio, which has a CD player and a cassette player, as well as various different functions for the radio. and 2 climate control vents with the controls for the air conditioning and heat down here. It also has a 12-volt outlet and a non-functioning cigarette lighter. Finally, we have the passenger side, which has a little glove compartment and another compartment which flips up and can act as a third seat. In here, it also has a stick, just like the Model A, except this has 5 speeds, 5 forward speeds, and the Model A has 3 forward speeds. And it also contains these visors to block the sun from going in the driver's eyes. Another similarity with the Model A is it has crank windows and manual locks. So that's another similar thing. In the Model A, not unlike the Ford Ranger, there is a steering wheel, which I'm sure that's a very important thing. And there's a horn button, and this is where the headlights are controlled by. If you turn them one way, it'll turn on the high and the low beams. And then these 2 levers, this controls the ignition timing, and this is basically it's a cruise control. It controls the throttle, and you can set it to a certain speed. And this has an added turn signal stalk, which they originally would not have had. In the center, we have our speedometer, an odometer, and tripometer, as well as our ignition key, our fuel gauge, and our amp gauge. Opposed to the Ranger, which had these gauges right in front, they are located in the center in the Ford Model A. And on the dash, we have our choke and mixture adjustment as well. There also is wiper controls right up here, right where the wiper is. And there is a rear view mirror, not unlike the Ford Ranger, but it is a lot smaller. And the neat thing with the Model A that the Ford Ranger can't do is you can open the windshield to let in some air on some hot days. And if you set it to the setting I have, the air will flow down there, and I don't know if you can see, but it directs it down to your feet, which is really interesting. And we also have our gear shift and our parking brake. And something that the Ranger does not have is a fuel shutoff valve. The Ford Ranger uses a fuel pump, and it automatically shuts off when the car turns off. So that's something interesting about the Model A. And just like the Ranger, it has crank windows, latch to get in. And here's your manual lock, which only locks the driver's door. You have to use the key to do the other one. And this offers a nice curtain if you don't want to see your passengers, or if the glare is too much for you when you're driving at night. Model A offers some storage options, such as these little pockets in each door, this little package tray, and actually the seat bottom comes off, and you can store other things like tools in there. Now let's take a look at the back seat. In the Ford Ranger, there is no back seat. Rather, there's a cargo space in the form of a truck bed, so you can sit back here if you wanted to, but I'd rather not. So let's go check out the Ford Model A offers a comfortable 2-seater rumble seat with minimal leg room and minimal other person room. But you do get a nice view of the driver's head. So now that you've seen the differences, which one's better? I think the answer is obvious. Thanks for watching this video, and please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.